of TRVL. There's no two ways of looking at this. Yeah, we've putting in all, we're putting in all-time lows. There was some signs of a possible reversal here, possible bottoming, and then we got this, and it's a little bit of a sell-off. Okay, on the weekly time frame, it looks pretty miserable. Red, 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 like almost 5 red weeks in a row, and lost another 58% in terms of value with a lot of volume. Huh? At the moment on the weekly time frame, it looks like decreasing volume, so it looks like the selling is tapering off. And what's interesting about the volume on TRVL is that we're getting a lot of volume here, like more volume than ever. And I think that's a good sign. I don't think it's a bad sign. I think people are like thinking, oh, that's really bad, we're getting a lot of volume at the lows, but actually it's the reverse. It's a good sign that we're getting volume at the lows. Not a bad sign. It just means that the value area, the price is still within the value area. So if I kind of expand the chart, and actually this is the 4 exchanges that I use. I don't know if there's any more exchanges that I can add. So let me just have a look, because I haven't done this in a while. Is there any more exchanges I can add? Yeah, wrapped base. Look, aerodrome. What I want to do is look at it. Coin market cap. So our volume is still good, like $500,000 or more. Our market cap is low at 1.1, and then the fully diluted valuation is at $2.7 million. It's really low for a real world project that has a real business use case. Let me have a look at the markets here. So right now the volume on the, it's not on perpetuals, so it's a spot. Mostly on Gate, KuCoin, a little bit of Mexi, Biconomy. There's a bit on Biconomy, and then Bybit's much less. Uniswap, Aerodrome, not much there. And that's a trading pair with the wrapped ETH there. Get a lot of volume on KuCoin and Gate, and even Biconomy. Yeah? That's interesting. And so Biconomy was the organic listing. It's not a tier 1 exchange, but that was organic. That wasn't pushed or promoted by Dtravel, and that's kind of what we need. Now, the reason for the sell-off is very obvious if people don't know. For reasons outside of Dtravel's control, and it's not just it's not an excuse. It's adding to the downward pressure. For reasons outside of Dtravel's control, TRVL picked up an ST tag on Bybit, ST. So the ST tag means that this token is being considered for delisting on Bybit. Okay, it's not the first time it's happened. This has happened 3 times since, this is the 3rd time since February that TRVL has picked up this ST tag, the 3rd time. So is it 3rd time unlucky or 3rd time lucky? Who knows? Yeah, no one really knows. But I can tell you that from the information that I've received, the reason why is that Bybit is aggressively going after tokens with low market cap valuations. And so the threshold at the moment is about $5 million. And so for $5 million, we probably have to go up about a 3x from here, or 200% rather. 200%. Is that 2x or 3x? 3x. To about 0.008. We probably have to go to about there to get back into the territory where we're not under threat. So really this is down to the bulls to take the price up. It's going to require market buying to achieve that. That will take us just, we'd have to go all the way up past the point of control. I would say that you don't necessarily have to look at the volume on one exchange, because especially with Bybit, which has, relatively speaking, the lowest, one of the 6th lowest volume, or the 6th highest volume. So that's kind of why I look at this chart, which is a combination of the 4 exchanges which I use, KuCoin, Gate, Mexi, and Bybit. That's why I use all 4, so I can get an aggregated volume count. But obviously it's not including by economy. If I was to add by economy, then I wouldn't get all the historic data, because it would only start from when it was launched on by economy. So at the moment, when I extend the value area, you can see, because of the volume that we're putting in at these levels, we have a really strong high volume node somewhere around 0.0036, and then we're kind of trying to edge out the value area low. We're kind of underneath it a little bit right now. We're getting a little bit of buying, market buying, but not enough to change this. So we're kind of slightly bearish still right now when you're looking at the charts. It doesn't, people are thinking, when is this going to go up? Is this going to go up? Should I buy now? And I always say the same thing. I always say, you know, do your own research. If you're going to buy, you have to dollar cost average. You can't just buy and hope for it to go up. You can, but sometimes you buy it, it goes down, and then you're like, shit, I can't buy anymore because I've bought everything. I've put all the value I have into it. When you look at it in the higher time frame, this is a really strong sell-off, and it doesn't look like the RSI is following this sell-off. So it's a bit oversold at the moment with low volume. When I say low volume, I mean comparatively compared to the indicators. So often when there's no divergences, they follow each other. And so you kind of get this behavior there, and you kind of get this behavior here. You get a similar kind of pattern. But what you can see is now the RSI is actually still higher than that point. And so this last sell-off has been aggressive, but at the same time it doesn't reflect. There's a little bit of bullish divergence there. It's not hidden, it's obvious, it's clear to see, but there's a little bit of bullish divergence. That means that if we do get buying, if we do start getting market buying, this will probably go up quite fast, but then you can form bearish divergences at the high. That's the problem when this happens. I'm just looking at these other indicators too. Again, the same thing. You see how here you've put in a much lower low from that peak, and then the MACD, we haven't even taken out that low yet. See that? So this is actually again, it's bullish divergence forming here. Usually if this was following each other, then you'd be like, okay, this is a healthy sell-off. But dare I say, it's an unhealthy sell-off. It's like people panic selling, and it's mainly due to the Bybit ST tag, probably. But then there are other factors too. I mean, a lot of people, there's been a little bit of chatter on Telegram. There's a little bit of conversation going. Certain people have asked for questions which are being answered. And so if you're not on the Telegram, then you should go and have a look. And it's at Dtravel Community. You can go and have a look. Different people are talking about different things. The CEO has been talking, Andrea, I've been talking, different people have been talking, and it's all about the future. It's all about this, the new chapter. So if you go in and you go to the TRVL channel, you go to the pinned message, you can see the new chapter, a note from Dtravel's new CEO, and you can go and have a look at that, click through. It takes you to the Dtravel X page. This has been posted on LinkedIn as well. And what's happened is that in the last year, we've had a change of CEO, we've had a change of leadership, and the vision of Dtravel has changed. And here, Eric Pace, who's the new CEO, who is trying to explain the changes. First, he's trying to explain what's broken. Then he's trying to explain what we're trying to do and how to do it, why we need to do this, and then what's happening next. So he's promised, since he posted this on November the 17th here on the Dtravel X page, he says in the coming weeks, Dtravel will begin revealing the first pieces of this future, unveiling new ways for travelers and operators to participate in Dtravel. So effectively what's happening, based on the information that I'm reading, not based on what I know, based on what I'm reading, is that the new leadership have looked at all the feedback. They've looked at the charts. They are looking at the charts. They're very interested in the token price because it reflects the market, the confidence in Dtravel. It reflects the confidence in the project and the future of the project. And they are taking it seriously. They're taking it seriously that they're making changes. And effectively, for people who don't really understand what's going on, ever since TRVL launched, we've been in this crazy sell-off. There's been a sell-off since the launch. This was alt season bull market, and then we had another sell-off at the beginning of this year. Little consolidation over the summer, and then we're getting this kind of potentially final sell-off, Now what's happened is the leadership has changed, and now they're starting to announce and make changes, and you can start to see those changes because all you have to do is just go to the Dtravel website. We have a brand new, dare I say brand new, it's an updated website. You can see the website's updated. It's looking fresh. And here in the resources, you can have a look and you can start to see updated information about Dtravel. And this is still changing. This is still being updated. And there's a lot of kind of changes coming. They haven't been put here yet, and when they get announced, then they'll probably be put here for people to see. Okay, so the original app is still there. You can still go and book in different parts of the world, like Toronto, using the Dtravel app, and that's on the base app too, as a mini app, and you can still do that. And that's actually part of our application, as a core part of our application, and that works. That's a business that works, a decentralized business that's works and is working. The proof is in the pudding, or in the eating of the pudding. And so if you go to the Dtravel general channel, you can see here, look, new booking site activated, new booking process. You can see that. So you can see there's activity. You can click on those listings. You can go back, click on it. You can see which property has received the booking and where it is. This looks like it's in Brazil. Yep, it's in Brazil. And so the business is working. Yeah. Is it profitable yet? Not yet. Yeah, because the network is still relatively quite small. And if you want to have a look at the network, you can just go to dune.com/Dtravel DAO/Dtravel-network-analytics. The link is there. And here you can see our real world network. and the growth of our real world network. And so you can see the stats. All right, it's a bit slightly out of date now, 22 days, but relatively speaking, these are live stats. Okay, I'm going to have to mention to the team so they update these stats. So it's not 22 days, so it's live. But in any case, the business is working. Is it profitable yet? No, but slowly but surely, we're getting there as a business, as a decentralized business. We're getting there. And so as a business, I think we're good, because it's just a matter of time before we get enough listings to justify the business as it is in its current form. It's just a matter of time. Okay. And if you go back to Telegram, have a look at Telegram, you can see, look at this, new booking site activated. Furt Valley just launched a new direct booking site powered by Dtravel with listings in San Salvador. See that? And so everyone who's been following me knows that I helped choose El Salvador with Eric. We've kind of been focused on El Salvador to push Dtravel in El Salvador. And here you can see that someone has listed 6 listings, and it looks like 3 different properties. Look, 1, 2, 3 different properties with 6 listings in San Salvador. And that adds to our El Salvador collection. And so if anyone has been following my stream, you'll know full well that when I first went to El Salvador, there was no listings whatsoever. It was 0. And now when you look at El Salvador, we have 20 listings. I'd have to count to see how many properties there are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And from 0 to 10, that's a relatively big achievement. There's been no incentive for me personally. I haven't been paid to do this or to initiate this idea, this idea of Dtravel becoming significant in El Salvador. And so someone asked the question on Telegram. It's a very important question, and I'm just going to go to that. And it was kind of in the TRVL channel. There was a conversation about El Salvador, and we're going to have a look at that conversation now quickly. Let's have a look. Lots of conversations, so you don't have to kind of look at it all, because it's mostly chit chat and some negativity. Here, this is the question by Kenny. Crypto sentiment is low. What is the reason to focus on El Salvador instead of other big countries? Kenny is quite sad that Google Trend does not show TRVL picking up, and he's not going to El Salvador for tour. What Kenny hopes to see is that Dtravel is accessible worldwide, and he's able to choose nice stay out of many listings, not a few listings. The current focus sounds weird, okay? And so that's the comment. And I respond, and look, the answer is not a definitive answer. It's not like this is it and there's nothing else. Of course, there's a million ideas out there. Everyone has their own idea. No one is discounting anyone's idea or strategy, yeah? And ultimately, we don't really know if a strategy is going to work until we try it and see. Ultimately, that's how we're gonna know. But the reality is that, and this is my answer, there's many good reasons why. Okay, first, El Salvador is a small country, and because it's small, it's very easy to market to and to target as a small country. It's a lot more difficult to target a bigger country like Canada or the USA or anywhere else really, when you have a larger market more competition, higher prices for different things like advertising or referrals, etc. Whereas you have a small country which is relatively virgin in the sense that it's just opened up or opening up, and still a lot of businesses or companies worldwide are waiting and hesitant or waiting to see what happens. And so that's the opportunity. Opportunities to go in before everyone else and to establish a stronghold there before the competition comes and does its best. Okay, so because it's a small country, you don't have to advertise to 100 million people. You can advertise to a smaller portion, and because it's a small country, everyone knows each other, and it becomes easier for word of mouth to travel as well. The tourism is exploding there, and that's a key fact. The tourism is growing in El Salvador. You only have to search online to see. Okay, we'll have a look. Tourism growth in El Salvador. Let's have a look. Just a Google search. This is just Google AI. El Salvador's tourism is experiencing rapid growth, with visitor numbers increasing significantly from 1.7 million in 2019 to 3.9 million in 2024, driven primarily by a dramatic improvement in public safety. You see that? The government there is really pushing hard with tourism. It's a big deal. And there's many, it's not just sports tourism, there's other forms of tourism. They're building a second airport. They've created a second surf city, and so there's a lot of things going on there. Also, you have the World Surf Tournaments regularly go to El Salvador, and there's a lot of positive indicators which make El Salvador a good target destination for a small startup like Dtravel. So it's a small country. Prices are generally low, and that's really important for us because we don't have unlimited resources or funds, so we can't just blow everything on a 2-week initiative in a country which is already really expensive. And so not only can we spend less and get more money for the amount that we spend, but there's also the government that's helping. The government wants to bring tourism to El Salvador. And so the idea is that we're going there, establishing ourselves, becoming recognized, making connections, and hopefully in the future, we may be able to get help and maybe even partnerships from either the government there or other organizations connected to tourism or to the government and tourism, and that's going to help us. So there's a lot of reasons why. And the other thing is that Dtravel is about to launch a pilot. So if you missed it, in the blog post that Eric posted on the Dtravel page, he talks about a pilot scheme. He says we'll be, look at this, we'll also be piloting a new ownership model that hasn't existed in the travel industry before, starting first in destinations that demonstrate the clearest alignment between local operators, community leadership, and Dtravel's long-term vision. Our first initiative is underway in El Salvador, okay? And it will serve as a foundation for everything that follows. See that? So the CEO has decided this is the good place, and he's actually found the place, the first initiative. He's already talked, and we've already passed the first stages, and that's to be announced. And so it goes back to answer Kenny's question in Telegram. That's where the first pilot is going to be, and it's not the only place. And this is the other thing, you have to, this is what I said in Telegram. I'm in London right now. Eric is in Italy as we speak. Doesn't stop, the work doesn't stop outside of El Salvador just because we are looking at El Salvador. Okay, it's just a good place for a proof of concept. And if we can achieve our goals, and I believe we will, I strongly believe we will, if we can achieve our goals in El Salvador, then that will open up the doors to so many other places in Central and South America and beyond. Okay, so it's really important that we make El Salvador work, and I think in terms of probabilities, we've got extremely good chance of succeeding there compared to if we were to try to do what we're thinking about in a country like Portugal or in a country like Greece or somewhere else where it's already saturated, where there's a lot of competition, and where El Salvador is beckoning for a decentralized business like Dtravel to come and do something. And the other thing is that El Salvador is extremely crypto friendly. There's a lot of tax benefits for crypto startups, huge benefits, and so we can make use of those benefits. There's a lot of positive reasons, and so you may disagree, you may kind of think it's a joke, you may not understand why, but there are good reasons. Okay, and it's good enough reasons to try, to try and see ultimately what's happening. And it goes back to the charts, and this is the long conversation that we've been having on Telegram about Dtravel, about the charts. Let me go to the charts again to show you. How do we stop the selling, and how do we bring the price of TRVL up? How? And fundamentally what needs to happen is the value of TRVL must be linked to the growth of the real world network. Ever since Dtravel launched, there hasn't been any tangible connection between the value of TRVL and the growth of TRVL. So what you're seeing here is speculation. That's all it is. It's crypto speculation, which ended in a sell-off. And what we're seeing is, it seems to be a continuation of the sell-off, possibly in 3 waves, you know, possibly an A, B, C forming here. Okay. That's all we're seeing right now. And the Bybit SD tag hasn't helped, has it? But what the new leadership is doing, so new leadership has been in effect basically in a tangible way from July. What the leadership is doing is they're trying to change everything to connect the growth of the value of TRVL with the growth of the network. And then as we grow the real world network, the value of TRVL will go up. And that's going to be very important for all the people who are investing in TRVL. That's what's happening behind the scenes. It hasn't been, the details haven't been announced. I've been talking about it, partly speculation, but mostly just kind of preemptively giving our people and Dtravel investors confidence in the future, because I know a few things. Ultimately, it will change, and it will end up in the change of the tokenomics. The tokenomics will reflect what's going to happen, which will be a connection between the value of TRVL and the real world network. Along with the pilot scheme that's being launched, that will be connected directly to holding TRVL, buying and holding TRVL. And then later on down the line, there'll probably be more things added. I think, I can't say right now exactly because I don't know the exact details, but we're looking at something much bigger than people initially thought about Dtravel. Initially, people were looking at Dtravel being an Airbnb alternative. That's what initially people were looking at, an Airbnb alternative. It's not. That's changing. This is going to be much bigger. And this, what we've created initially, which is this kind of Airbnb, decentralized Airbnb, is going to be part of a much bigger decentralized business and application that we're creating. Okay, so this was just a foothold, and now we're going to see what happens next. It may, I mean, people, I'm not suggesting people just buy because everything's going to be good. Yeah, the market never moves in straight lines. ultimately, if you do buy, you have to dollar cost average. You have to have an investment strategy which suits your risk appetite. Ultimately, don't listen to anyone. Don't listen to me. Don't listen to people in Telegram. Don't listen to people in the Dtravel channel. You have to do your own research. You have to believe in Dtravel. You have to believe in the Dtravel leadership for yourself. You have to have the confidence for yourself, and you have to take the decisions for yourself. It's no point coming into the Dtravel Telegram or X page and complaining, because ultimately we're all responsible for our own value, okay? And there are some bad actors out there. There are some nefarious people who are doom and gloom. I think it's best to just ignore that noise and just focus on the confidence that you have in the business. If you don't have confidence, if you're not sure, if you're not confident, then there'll be plenty of opportunities to exit in the future as the price goes up. But I'm not selling, I'm buying more, you know, and I'm not saying copy me, but I've been buying more and I'm not looking to sell, okay? And there's a lot of people like me, and this, for us, this is an opportunity. This is an opportunity. Looking at the charts, it looks abysmal, but nothing's newer. Nothing's new. I think it would be nice to get back above the 5 million market cap mark to avert this Bybit SD tag. And I think with these new announcements in the upcoming weeks, it's possible that we are going to see a mega pump, coincide that with Bitcoin bottoming or Bitcoin rallying. There are some opportunities to see a pump. I've been talking about a December pivot for a long time, So you may not have caught my streams in the past. If you haven't, then I apologize that you haven't, but I've been talking about a fib time pivot in December. You see that? Somewhere beginning to mid-December, a pivot. These pivots can be put in early or late. So it could be a bit earlier, it could be a bit later. No one really knows exactly when. They're kind of areas of time rather than exact days. So we are putting in a pivot here now. It's a bottom pivot, okay? And then the next pivot is going to be in March. And so potentially I do think we could pivot in the next week or 2 weeks or a few weeks from now onwards. And then hopefully we'll have to see if we can take out the high. There is now, just if people are interested, there is now starting to form a value area high at around 2.1 cents. So there's a big strong resistance area somewhere between the previous all-time low 1.9 and 2.1 cents. And that may be the next pump. Is possible. You can if this is the pivot now, from just looking at it technically, if this is the pivot now, that also corresponds with the golden pocket of the last pivot high that was put in December last year. Assuming that this week is the pivot low, then you've got pretty strong resistance area with a golden pocket retraced to a value area high and a previous all-time low, and that will be a pretty strong resistance area. Okay, so potentially we get a rally up to there, and then we have to see what happens. We don't know, okay? No one really knows. Could we reject, form a bottoming pattern here? Could it go down? Yeah, I mean, so many things could happen. Or could that be a good take profit and then the price actually does an ABC and then continues? Yeah, it could do that. Or could the price actually just pump, whatever, just keep on pumping and take out? It could do that too. The price can do so many things, and we just don't know what's going to happen. But at the moment, with the current pivot that's being formed, we do have a pretty strong resistance area somewhere between 1.9 and 2.1 cents. And it's just something that people should pay attention to, especially if you're looking to de-risk because you're worried about the bear market, you think you're over exposed. That would be a good place to de-risk, and then you can scale back in on the dips, or you can just wait and see what happens. There's lots of things that you can do after that happens. Okay, that's probably the best that I can do technically. But again, with these kind of microcap degen coins, super low market cap degen coins, anything can happen. Some multi-millionaire can come and just buy $2 million worth of TRVL in one go, and all of a sudden the price of TRVL is trading at 4 or 5 cents. No one knows. No one can predict that. If that happens, then that happens. You can't predict that. And so it's better to have higher time frame strategies when you're dealing with these super low market cap coins. And in my view, it's my personal view, I'm looking at Dtravel extremely bullishly for a long-term future. Yeah, I'm looking at this higher time frame, multi-billion dollar company or more. That's what I'm looking at. Decentralized business. And therefore, I'm not like looking to trade this. If you want to trade, you should really be trading Bitcoin. But if you are looking to de-risk because you've overexposed and you need the money, then it's best to wait for key areas like 1.9 cents, 2 cents to skim, to de-risk, rather than panic sell at 0.0027. The price increase from the current price to major resistance is about a 600-700% increase in value, and so you're basically selling at a significant loss when you can just be patient and wait, and be patient and wait for that to happen, and then at least you can walk away not unhappy. Okay, but for me, I'll be looking to continuously add the dips. If we have found our bottom now, and you go back to coin market cap, $1.4 million, I'm assuming a person could sell a house or 2 houses and buy up the whole TRVL stack right now. And if you think that we have so many properties on our network, so many people who have a lot of value, who are already involved in our network, I wouldn't be surprised if we are forming the absolute low now. Now, does it mean we don't revisit the low in the future? No, it doesn't mean that. If we do reject from 2 cents, if we do pump and reject, it is possible we go down to try and revisit the low. Okay. Depending on how the price descends, but then by then maybe the network's grown, the tokenomics have changed, so many things everything becomes clear, and then you get a much more interest, and we actually hold a higher low, and then actually we have bottomed out on a higher time frame. And so time will tell. With projects like this, with the new leadership and the new vision, I think what we need to do now is give it time, probably time, patience. And the reality is that everyone can participate in how, once the tokenomics changes, everyone will be incentivized to contribute to the real world network growth of Dtravel. That's the reality of the future. Once the tokenomics changes, once the pilot is announced, once some other changes that I haven't talked about yet are announced, I think everyone is going to be really excited about the Dtravel and TRVL future. And rather than people look at opportunities to sell, I think then people will be looking at opportunities to buy, to accumulate. So that the narrative, once the narrative changes, once the vision is executed, and once the changes are visible, you're going to start getting a lot of people, rather than see dips as scary moments, they're going to see dips as opportunities to buy more. Everything changes then. Okay, that's the future that I believe we're heading for. And then once you change the sentiment like that, then the only thing we can do then is bottom out on the higher time frame and then eventually explode to the upside. All right, so that's kind of my TRVL Dtravel update. I hope that helps. If you have any questions, then please go into our Telegram channel. It's at Dtravel Community. You can also follow Dtravel on the X page, which is Dtravel DAO, Dtravel DAO. And You can also put comments underneath this YouTube stream. If you're going to chat to me, feel free to message me, but just be nice and courteous. That would be appreciated. Otherwise, I will probably ignore you or block you. That's probably what will happen. All right. Hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next week on possibly at the beginning of the month, because I'll probably do a second update tomorrow just to look at the monthly candle. All right. Have a nice day.